start now.
Hello and welcome. My name is Valerie Taylor. I'm the Director of Accreditation Equine for Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries. Today we're going to take a closer look at GFAS certification, specifically acquisition standards for equine rescue organizations. If you're watching this webinar, you are likely already aware of the mission of the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries, or GFAS, which is to continuously improve the quality of care for animals requiring sanctuary. And of course, one of the core and most vital activities GFAS carries out to support this mission is the accreditation of sanctuaries based on worldwide standards of excellence. To give a little history, GFAS began this work in 2007, and the GFAS standards were developed and reviewed with the input of animal services officers, nonprofit professionals, sanctuary managers, animal protection advocates, and veterinarians. They originally utilized existing standards from outstanding sanctuaries as a starting framework, and then refined or expanded upon those based on their knowledge and area of expertise. Although the GFAS standards are still evolving in reaction to issues that come to light during the accreditation assessment process and with the support of new scientific advisory groups, our overall philosophy, which remains, is to protect individual animals while not contributing to the problems driving animals to be held in captivity or to be homeless or otherwise in need of sanctuary. So is your organization eligible to apply for GFAS accreditation or verification? To be eligible, organizations must have nonprofit or non-commercial status and endorse the following policies: no captive breeding, no commercial trade in animals, no tours allowed that are not guided and conducted in a careful manner. Animals are not exhibited or taken from the sanctuary for non-medical purposes, with some limited exceptions for certain animal species, such as horses. And the public does not have direct contact with wildlife. So this webinar is going to examine the no commercial trade, no purchase policy in greater detail, especially as it pertains to equine rescue and sanctuary groups. The reason for the focus here is that out of all of these eligibility requirements, this policy in particular seems to come up as a recurring stumbling block for many equine facilities, and so it might require some greater background and explanation. If we look at the GFAS standard, this is standard P1, Acquisition Ethics and Commercial Trade Prohibition. It says, acquisition of equines by the rescue or sanctuary is legal and ethical. If we look down at the fine print, what that says is acquisition of equines occurs through donation or rescue. Equines are not purchased. No commercial trade in sanctuary animals occurs, and the rescue or sanctuary does not knowingly engage a third party to purchase an equine on its behalf. Now, an exception may be made for the purchase of equines if it is determined that the purchase is the only sure means of saving equines from certain abuse, suffering, or probable death. For example, in the case of slaughter. If animals have been purchased, or if the sanctuary has a policy in place that allows purchase under certain circumstances, the sanctuary must provide GFAS with that information, indicating why such purchases are consistent with the sanctuary's mission and why they do not sustain or promote the commercial exploitation of the species. So what really does that provision mean, and what is the reasoning behind it? This provision likely would not exclude those organizations who, from time to time, intake equines who have been no-saled at auctions, for example, although there might be a cost to do so for Coggins, health certificate, and a sale barn fee or commission. It's typically quite nominal. We're also really not talking about rescues who infrequently attend auctions where equines are at high risk of going to slaughter and find themselves as the only bidder or sometimes bidding only against a kill buyer. Usually these equines will sell for a small fee, for example, less than $300. If an organization's mission and policies allow for such nominal purchases, and that organization has a plan to provide responsible care, rehabilitation, and adoption or sanctuary for the equines, then generally the standard is being met. Purchase of equine intakes veers away from compliance with the provision when practices such as purchasing from private owners, trainers, or feedlot businesses becomes the primary mode of intake for an organization. Most in the equine rescue field are aware of the current frenzy surrounding equines being purchased at auctions and from kill buyers and feedlots. It's difficult to scroll through your Facebook feed without seeing the faces of these horses awaiting purchase or bail. Kill buyers and sale barns have been around longer than I can remember. However, what is new is that they have found quite a lucrative secondary market in some of us, the rescues. They know the rescues may scramble to save a horse if they put a ship to slaughter date on him. But purchasing these horses has created a vicious cycle. Nearly the same amount of horses are still being shipped each year as kill buyers fill slaughterhouse quotas. Every horse we pay bail on, the kill buyer will go back to auction and buy 3 or 4 more horses, putting them at risk, and then the cycle continues. In addition, another trend I'd really caution rescues to be wary of is that of fundraising for feedlot horses who will end up with third-party owners rather than under the auspices of your rescue or sanctuary organization. You're really not helping the horse if you send them to an inadequate home because you didn't do your research or legwork before fundraising. In fact, you may be contributing to their suffering. Anybody who is asking your organization to donate or fundraise for them to get a horse should have been more than happy to go through the legitimate adoption process followed at your rescue, where they can answer your questions and provide assurances of their intent and abilities. You never want to find yourself in a situation where another rescue must rescue the horses down the line that you purchased for strangers. At GFAS, we're seeing more applications from rescues and sanctuaries seeking to purchase equines. Many of these organizations are actively soliciting funds from online supporters to do so. A number of organizations are buying from auctions, kill buyers, or feedlots who threaten to ship the equines to slaughter if it is not purchased. By engaging in purchasing, these rescues are essentially collaborating with kill buyers in the pipeline to slaughter, which they could instead be advocating against and working to shut down. Purchasing equine intakes is not likely to solve the problem of horse slaughter. Even if all equine rescue facilities across the U.S. were filled to capacity with purchased intakes, we would save less than 25% of those slated for slaughter and have no room for law enforcement seizures, strays, and owner surrenders. We really cannot compete with the slaughter industry for volume. Instead, we must save the number of horses that we can and employ methods that will most effectively change the setting for all equines. Because when you rescue a horse by purchasing him, you're really paying for his replacement. The effects of the practice of purchasing intakes can be felt by equine rescues nationwide. Traditionally, horses which rescues intake go through a responsible care plan, which includes veterinarian evaluation and care, farrier work, dental, vaccinations and parasite control, and most often a detailed feeding plan. As you know, all of this may add up to a cost of $500 to $1,000 or more just within the first month after intake. Add to that the money spent on purchasing intakes as a form of rescue, which in the case might be hundreds to thousands of dollars or more. That money could instead be used to support high-quality care for animals rescued in ways which don't provide profits to third-party sellers and horse traders. In the end, with all of this donor money going to save these horses from kill pens, there is less left over to help support the ones already in our care. Purchasing all or the majority of intakes is funding the kill buyers instead of funding the rescues. And often these kill buyers are taking advantage of rescuers by raising their prices. At GFAS, we certainly believe that every individual horse deserves to live a lifetime of humane and responsible care. No horse deserves to be in a kill pen or sent through auction or suffer the horrendous trip to slaughter. However, while we acknowledge that those in the equine rescue and welfare field may have the best intentions in saving the lives of individual animals, the strategy of such can result ultimately in more harm than good. It is our philosophy that the commercial trade or purchasing of animals by rescues and sanctuaries may indeed benefit that one horse, but overall does nothing to discourage the ongoing issues, such as overbreeding, among others, to meet demand. So how are we going to move away from purchasing? We believe that rescue by purchase is typically unnecessary. Without buying a single animal, many equine rescue organizations stay more than full. Abused and neglected horses are confiscated through cruelty investigations. They are found stray and abandoned. They are surrendered by their owners who are unwilling or unable to provide care. And some are fortunate enough to have their care provided for by equine retirement facilities once their show careers have ended. But what about some unique and innovative solutions? There are many successful safety net programs out there in practice that keep horses from entering the purchase cycle, and I've listed just a handful here from our partners and from some GFAS accredited or verified organizations which care for equines. So these are going to be things like courtesy rehoming or courtesy placements, which you host on your rescue website for folks. Employing foster homes to increase capacity for care and help promote and market your horses for adoption. Assistance like hay banks or monetary assistance to owners for boarding or vet expenses to help them keep their horses through a rough patch. Establishing a euthanasia fund, castration or gelding clinics, certainly education and outreach. There's some shelters now that are starting to do some really innovative one-day open-door shelter events for equines. Of course, equine care and training clinics, so equines don't end up being relinquished for lack of training or poor training. I've listed my contact info here and also some resources of some GFAS accredited and verified programs who offer these innovative solutions. GFAS is certainly committed to keeping this conversation going and continuing to provide resources and discussion that will be fruitful in bringing us together as a community to move away from purchased animal intake. If you have questions or experiences you would like to share, please contact me. Thank you for listening today.